When the going gets tough, the tough get going. My champions. This line shows that echoes in the face of adversity. And you, right now, might be standing at the edge of your own battle, feeling small, insignificant, and powerless. You see the world stacked against you, filled with enemies, rivals, critics, even that little voice in your head telling you, you can't do it. The weight of their resources, their influence, their strength, it's overwhelming, isn't it? But here's where you're wrong. That illusion that they're stronger, that's the lie that has kept you trapped. Because here's the truth. You have something they don't have. You've been handed a weapon, one that can shift the entire balance of power. It's called the art of the hunt. And while they may have the illusion of control, they're blind to the truth. The real power is in your hands. The true power lies in the hunt. When you're facing the world, it feels like everyone is playing a game you can't win. Every step forward seems like a step back. You're on the outside, looking in, watching them succeed and build while you're left struggling for your place. But in reality, you're being given the most powerful tool anyone can have, the ability to see weakness. You might feel like prey right now, but I want you to understand something. Weakness is your fuel. Every time your enemies falter, every time they show vulnerability, those cracks in their armor, that's your moment to strike. Because here's the game changer. Once you identify your enemy's weakness, you stop being the prey, you become the predator. I tell you the secret, turning their weakness into your strength. Think about the last time someone doubted you. Think about the last time the world turned its back on you. At first, it may have felt like a defeat, like you were too small, too insignificant. But every no, every dismissal was a gift. They just handed you the keys to their destruction. Now it's your turn to hunt. When you recognize your enemy's insecurities, whether they're driven by fear, arrogance, or desperation, you've already won. You use their own doubts, their own vulnerabilities to turn the tables. You don't just fight back, you outsmart them. You exploit their weaknesses. And in doing so, you rob them of the power they think they have. But here's the catch. This isn't a game for the weak-hearted. This requires strategy. It demands patience, precision, and a cold, calculating mind. You'll need to outthink them. You'll need to be ruthless. The price of power. Cold, calculating, and ruthless. Let's be clear. Rising above the world's challenges, making them fear you, that doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't come from playing nice or waiting for opportunities to fall in your lap. You have to create them. You have to take what's yours. This is a high-stakes game. If you want to truly dominate, you must develop the patience to wait for the right moment. You must learn to observe your enemies without rushing. The world isn't going to hand you power on a silver platter. But when you understand that their weaknesses are your stepping stones, and you can exploit them with precision, you take control of the game. You stop being the victim of circumstance, and you start being the one who shapes the outcome. So, if you're ready to shift your perspective from prey to predator, to take what others thought they could take from you, then keep listening. Because by the end of this speech, you'll have everything you need to rise above them. And trust me, when you do, they won't see it coming. It's time to hunt. The hunt begins, recognizing the weakness. It all starts with recognition. You can't use your enemy's weaknesses if you don't know where to look. The first step in any battle is identifying the cracks in your opponent's armor. And let me tell you something, everyone has cracks. The people who look untouchable, the ones who seem invincible, they have weaknesses too. They just hide them well. Maybe they're insecure about their success. Maybe they have a deep fear of failure, a fear that, if touched, will shatter them to pieces. Maybe they rely too much on their strength, never realizing their arrogance is their biggest flaw. Take a moment and think, what's your enemy hiding? What's their greatest fear? Where do they feel the most vulnerable? That's where you need to strike. That's your advantage. And once you spot it, you don't let it go. You exploit it over and over again, using their ego against them. The art of manipulation. Ego. Everyone has one, but not everyone can control it. You know those people who walk around like they own the world, acting like they can't be touched? They're the easiest to break. Their ego is their greatest weakness. You see, the higher someone's ego, the harder they fall when they're knocked down. They think they're untouchable, so they never see the attack coming. They leave themselves wide open. And when they fall, it's devastating. Take this as a lesson. Never underestimate the power of humility. Humble yourself for a moment, and then wait. Watch. Your enemies are blinded by their own egos, but you're not. Use their pride against them. Do you want to break them down slowly, painfully, then exploit their insecurities, draw them into a trap where their own arrogance leads them straight into it? The power of silence. Make them fear you. You want to know what's even more powerful than making an enemy feel small? It's making them fear the silence before the attack. You don't have to scream to show your power. Your silence is your weapon. When you know your enemy's weakness, when you know exactly where to strike, do not rush. Wait. Let them sweat. Let them feel your presence in the silence. Let them imagine what you might do next. And that's when you drop the bomb. That's when you hit them where it hurts. The greatest hunters don't make a sound as they approach their prey. They simply wait for the perfect moment, the moment of weakness, and then they strike with precision. So when your enemy expects you to attack, when they expect you to react emotionally, stay calm. Your silence will unsettle them more than any loud move ever could. The shadow strategy. Be everywhere, yet nowhere. Have you ever noticed how shadows work? They follow you everywhere you go, but you rarely notice them. That's the strategy you need. Become the shadow that haunts them. You need to be present without being visible. Watch your enemies closely. Learn their habits. Study their movements. Be everywhere they are, but never fully reveal yourself. Show up just enough to make them uncomfortable. Let them question everything. Let them wonder who is watching. Why? Because the greatest power comes not from attacking head-on, but from whittling them down over time. Your enemies will start doubting their decisions, their actions, their own confidence. And that is when you strike, the moment of collapse. When your enemy is vulnerable, there will come a time when your enemy's walls are down. Maybe it's after a major defeat. Maybe it's after a moment of public humiliation. They'll feel the weight of their own failures, and that's when they'll start to crack. That's when you move in. You know their weaknesses now, and this is where the game gets real. But don't just attack recklessly. Now is the time to be precise. Aim for the heart of their vulnerability. This is where the real damage happens. Remember, when you strike, it's not just about defeating them, it's about completely obliterating their confidence. Make them feel small. Make them question everything they've ever believed in. Leave them broken, on the ground, in awe of the power you've just unleashed. Turn their weaknesses into your strength. But here's the most important part. Once they're down, don't just gloat. Take what you've learned and turn it into your own strength. Every weakness your enemy had, it becomes your advantage. Use it to fuel your growth. Use it to make you even more unstoppable than you were before. Take their failures and build from them. Take their weaknesses and use them as stepping stones to climb higher. As they crumble, you rise. And that's when you truly win. The game has changed. Time to hunt. Here's the harsh truth. You're never going to win by playing the same game everyone else is playing. You have to play by your own rules. You have to become a hunter, a predator. And every time your enemies make a mistake, you seize that moment. They don't see you coming. They never will. Because when the game is over and the dust settles, they'll be left wondering how they were defeated, why they were taken down. And you'll be the one standing tall because you understood the art of the hunt. So, To all those who tried to stand in your way, to all those who thought they were better than you, it's time to make them regret ever underestimating you. It's time to show them that their weaknesses weren't just their downfall, they were your weapon. Let them come. You're ready.